So you've done everything they told you to do, right? You made the budget, you cut back on the lattes, and you promised yourself, this time, it's going to be different. And hey, maybe for a few days, it even was. But then something happens, and just like that, you're right back where you started. If that sounds even a little bit familiar, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to dive into why this keeps happening, and more importantly, what you can actually do about it. It's this incredibly frustrating and, honestly, confusing cycle. You know you're putting in the effort, you are trying to be disciplined, but you just keep ending up in the same financial spot, fighting the same old battles again and again.
And then, underneath it all, this is the fear that starts to bubble up. When the budgets fail again and the plans fall apart, it's so easy to turn it inward and start asking that really scary question. Wait, is the problem me?
Well, here's the good news. What if the problem isn't you at all? The source material for this explainer is crystal clear on this. Feeling stuck with money has almost nothing to do with your willpower or how much you want it. It is not a character flaw. It's a design problem. Think of it like a glitch in the software that's running silently in the background of your mind. So let's peel back that first layer of the design problem. We're going to start with the hidden software that's been quietly running your financial life probably since you were a little kid. We're talking about your unconscious money scripts. So, what in the world is a money script? Well, think of it as a deep-seated core belief about how money works. And you didn't just decide on it one day. You absorbed it from your parents, from your community, from your earliest experiences with money. And the key word here is unconscious. They fire off automatically, guiding your financial choices before you even have a chance to think.
Now check out the analogy on this slide because it's perfect. The script for the character Scrooge is brilliant for A Christmas Carol. But can you imagine an actor trying to use those bah humbug lines while playing, say, Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird? It would be a complete disaster. The script itself is fine, but the context is all wrong. And it's the exact same thing with your money. A script that made perfect sense of the world when you were 8 years old can be an absolute catastrophe in your adult financial life.
Okay, let's see how this plays out in a real-life situation. Meet Dustin and Emily. Emily brings up a totally normal, everyday topic for a couple to talk about. Their daughter, Jennifer, needs braces. It's a simple, practical conversation starter. Hey, we need to figure this out. But Dustin's reaction, it's anything but simple or practical. He just explodes. He gets angry, he starts shouting about how much it's going to cost before he even has a single detail. I mean, his reaction is completely out of proportion to what's happening. So what is really going on here? And here it is. This is the crucial part. Dustin isn't really reacting to Emily or the braces at all. He's reacting to what the source material calls his unfinished business. Emily's comment unknowingly pushed a big red button, triggering a powerful unconscious money script from his childhood, something like, "We can't afford things that aren't absolutely necessary." And in that moment, all those old feelings of scarcity and fear just came flooding back. He's not in the present, he's fighting a battle from his past. And this image right here shows you the result of all that. Our money scripts literally build these invisible walls around us, creating what's called a financial comfort zone. Now, it might not actually feel comfortable, in fact, it can be pretty miserable, but it is familiar. These scripts limit what you think is possible, they limit your choices, and they make sure you stay stuck right inside the financial reality you've always known. All right, now for our second point. Let's build on this idea. If money scripts are the cognitive software running in the background, then the shame avoidance cycle is the emotional engine that keeps the whole system stuck, and it often drives us directly towards self-sabotage. First things first, we have to get really clear on the critical difference between guilt and shame. They sound similar, but they are worlds apart. Guilt says, I did something bad. It focuses on a behavior. And you know what? It can actually motivate us to fix the problem. But shame is different. Shame says, I am bad. It's not about what you did, it's about who you are. And it triggers a primal response in our nervous system that just makes us want to freeze, to hide, to disappear. And here's how that shame creates this awful, vicious cycle. It all starts with a trigger. Let's say an unexpected bill shows up in the mail. Your nervous system doesn't see a piece of paper. It sees a threat to your very identity, so you shut down. Now, to get some relief from that painful feeling, what do? You avoid it. You just don't open the bill. But of course, avoiding it has real-world consequences, like late fees. So the bill gets bigger. And finally, when you do face it, that now worse situation seems to confirm your deepest fear. See, I knew it. I really am bad with money. The shame gets even worse, and the cycle is locked in, ready to start all over again. Okay, let's go even deeper now.
We've talked about the mental scripts, we've talked about the emotional engine. Now let's look at the ancient neurological hardware that all of this is running on.
This chart right here visualizes a Nobel Prize-winning discovery from psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky. And what they found, fundamentally, is that we humans are not the rational creatures we like to think we are. We are predictably irrational. And one of the most powerful biases they found is something called loss aversion. Here's what it means. The pain of losing something hurts about twice as much as the pleasure of gaining the exact same thing. So losing $100 feels twice as bad as finding $100 feels good. And this idea leads us to maybe the single most important reframe in this entire explainer. Your struggle with money isn't a moral failing. It's not a weakness. It's an evolutionary mismatch. For hundreds of thousands of years, losing your resources, your food, your shelter, could literally mean death. So our brains evolved to treat any loss as a 5-alarm fire. You're running that ancient survival software to try and manage a 401k, a world it was never ever designed for. So where do you see this ancient programming pop up today? Oh, it's everywhere. It's that gut-wrenching physical panic you feel when the stock market takes a nosedive. That urge to just sell everything to make the pain stop. It's why we hold on to a failing investment, because selling it would make that loss feel concrete and real. And it's that nagging, low-grade guilt you feel even when you spend money on things you actually need. Your brain doesn't see a transaction. It registers every dollar out as a loss to be feared. Okay, so we've got unconscious scripts, a shame cycle, and ancient brain wiring all working against us. I know, it can sound pretty overwhelming. But here's the thing. Understanding the design of the problem is the absolute first step to solving it. And this right here, this is the turning point. This is where we shift from just explaining the problem to actually empowering you to fix it.
So how do we even begin to take back control? Well, it all starts with a fundamental shift in your perspective. And it centers on this psychological concept called locus of control. It sounds complicated, but it boils down to one simple question. Where do you believe the control over your life actually comes from? Is it inside of you, or is it from outside forces?
And your answer to that question creates two completely different mindsets. On one hand, you have an internal locus of control. That's the belief that my choices, my actions, they are what determine my results. On the other hand, you've got an external locus of control. That's the belief that your life is just shaped by things that happen to you. Luck, fate, the economy, other people. And let me tell you, this is not just a philosophical difference. It has a massive, real-world impact on your behavior. And the data on this is just, well, it's striking. Research from data points shows this incredibly strong, clear link. People who believe their own actions create wealth, the ones with an internal locus of control, have a significantly higher net worth. And that's independent of their age or their income. Simply believing that you are in the driver's seat of your own financial life is a powerful predictor of actually getting where you want to go.
So let's bring this all home. If the problem is a design problem, then the solution has to be a design solution, right? The final step is to stop fighting against your own psychology, which is a battle you will lose, and start designing around it. Let's look at the new operating manual.
The single most powerful strategy to come out of all this behavioral finance research is a principle called pre-commitment. The idea is so simple, but it is revolutionary. Instead of trying to have more willpower when you're in a moment of panic, which we know doesn't work, you make the big, important decisions ahead of time when you're calm and rational. You build a system that works with your brain's ancient wiring, not against it.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, you pre-commit to saving by automating the transfer the second your paycheck hits your account, before loss aversion can make it feel painful. You pre-commit to not panic selling by setting a simple rule in advance, like, I will only check my investments on the first of the month, period. You pre-commit to a rational exit strategy by deciding on your selling price before you ever buy a single share. Essentially, you are making your calm, smart, future-focused self from today the boss of your panicked, emotional self tomorrow.
So you see, the problem was never you. It was never a lack of character or willpower. It was just a brain doing exactly what it was designed to do, but in a modern world it was never designed for. And understanding that changes everything. It shifts the focus away from self-blame and onto smart design. And so that leaves us with one final question to think about. Knowing all of this, what's just one unconscious rule about money that you're now ready to drag out into the light and consciously rewrite?